Good evening. This is the video for how to deal with, especially in revision for a certain book titled Physics 1. I would like to give some, the stages on how to revise certain book. This is already a published book entitled Journal Physics 1 OBE base. When you say OBE, outcomes based education textbook. So, from the word outcomes based, it is not only lecture method are going to use there, but it is more on student centered activities that are really related to the concept discussed in the, let's say, in the book or in a certain topic, for example. That's why it is called OBE, outcomes based education. Because lecture is no longer, you know, usable in the sense that the students learn very much if there is action. You remember the principle behind learning by doing? That is similar to outcomes based education. This was originated in Hong Kong University, and the first university in the Philippines that was adopted or went to Hong Kong University and adopted here in the Philippines or introduced here in the Philippines was TIP and Mapua, the first two universities in the Philippines. And then they introduced to all higher education institutions in the Philippines. After 2 years, there was already trends on this OBE. Now let's go back to the revision of my book. The first thing you should look at the table of contents. If the table of contents really useful for the next 3 to 4 years. For example, I wrote the systems of measurements. Can we not change to measurements only? Or can we retain that systems of measurements instead of measurements alone or only? So it depends, okay? But we have the sequence of the topics. We call it as outline, okay? But I use to revise first the lecture portion, later on the laboratory portion. But laboratory concept, laboratory part is still, you know, practical because we are using the practical work approach. All right. Now, in these stages, the first stage is check the table of contents. See to it that this table of contents are based from MELC of the Department of Education or the curriculum guide. All right. The curriculum guide. Minimum essential learning competencies. That is you know, the taxonomy coming from the Department of Education. That is the authority. And then later on, arrange those activities related to the topics. So, subject matter, and then overview of the subject matter, and then followed by activities. At least 5 activities pre-discussion, 5 activities lesson proper, 5 activities post-discussion, and then it follows your assessment or evaluation. Now, how many activities do we have all in all for, let's say, in one chapter? The more activities you have there, the more the students learn your lesson. Of course, we follow the principles learning by doing. And this is also practical work approach using the strategies based from OBE, okay? Student-centered approach, SCA. If you can imagine the two concepts, OBE and SCA, are still similar from each other. So this is how to deal the revising process, the revision, I mean, of a certain book. But this is more or less essentially the important process on how to revise certain books, whether in science, mathematics, English, and other subjects. But this is practically more on physics because this was edited last year, published in 2018, so more or less 4 years already. So there is already a need to revise. So that's why I'm starting now on how to revise the certain book. So I'm sharing you on how to revise a book. Do not just delete and then add. No. You check from the table of contents, it is still usable against the MELC given by DepEd or the curriculum guide. If the curriculum guide is still, practical to use, then we have to use. But this is already 4 years ago. MEL is 2 years ago. MELC was given by the Department of Education 2 years ago. So still, we said we can use that. But we cannot use already the curriculum guide. But we can also revise or update those subject matter that is no longer suitable to the senior high school. Remember, this is senior high school. High school. It is not yet in the tertiary level because there are also topics in the second senior high school that are no longer discussed or taken in the college. So it's up to you if we can have another video for sample works later on because the process is still going on. But in this process, there is already idea that you can have for this revision of a certain book. Because I wrote 15 titles published by different, you know, companies, publishing companies. Letter M, letter G, letter R, letter C, letter N. And those are local publishers. I have one, I mean, international company, but I will not name just like the local in the Philippines, but I will just give you the first letter A for international publishing company. They hired me as module writer there for international students. Physics, chemistry, research, statistics, and mathematics. Five titles as module writer. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. See you and happy Valentine's on Monday. Okay. Advance happy Valentine's to everyone. Thank you. Happy Valentine's for 2022. Yeah, I forgot. Thank you.